Shalom Israel. First and foremost, I want to give all praise, all honor, all glory to Yahweh Bashim Al Shah Bashim Kakadash, the born to the apostles, and else great millstone for teaching us his truth, peace, and blessings to the whole elect of Israel. Yahweh is the name of the Hanfran Hebrew. Bashim is the name, and Yahweh Shah is the name of the begotten Son. Background lesson. And as you see within the title, you can't hide from the Lord. And one of the main points I do me push throughout the lessons is how Yahweh Bashim Al Shah has covered all routes of escape. And I believe I titled one of my lessons I went into a while back, how you can't run and you cannot hide. Because you have that saying, you can run but you can't hide. Well, in this case, you can't do either. There's nothing you can do to escape the wrath of Yahweh Bashim Shai, especially speaking of you devils, man. You're going to pay for your crimes and atrocities you have committed. So these plan Bs, these the plan A, plan Bs, plan Cs that you have won't work. Because as I'm going to get throughout these scriptures, throughout the lesson, you're going to have this devil try to flee, trying to escape his judgment, going onto these bunkers deep underground, these space stations, these these luxury submarines, these underwater bases, all these different things. You're not going to be able to hide from the Lord as you are wanting. Because I have three main points I do want to be going into the lesson, to where anywhere you try to run, anywhere you try to hide, you're going to be found out. Because the Lord has his own Air Force. He has his own ground troops. Because you can also get Jeremiah 16:16, where soon those fishers will be turned into those hunters. Speaking of the elect, especially when they receive that spiritual power. And as you also get in our scripture, how they're going to be the Lord's battle axe, man, his weapons of war. And as you also have Leviathan, which will also come out in these last days. So wherever he may try to flee to via air, via sea, via land, you won't be able to run and you won't be able to hide. And you won't be able to escape the hand from the hand of the Lord. The Lord has his grasp on you, man. And you're not going to be able to wiggle your way out. So let's get a couple of these scriptures, maybe a longer type of lesson. Something I was meditating on, and something I was wanting to go into. Because just going back to that point, the Lord has covered all the rest of escape, and there is quite literally nowhere you can go. Whether you may try to flee into these space stations or deep underground, underwater, you're going to be pulled up right up out of these bunkers, these space stations, these submarines, whatever the case may be. The Lord's wanting you on tiny points, together. But let's get the scriptures to go along with it. Now it says Jeremiah 16:16, going to the Lord's ground troops per se. And I'm using that word just as an example, because Esau even has his military, his Air Force, his Marine Corps. Hey, the Lord has his, and this devil won't be able to stop any of it. What do you think this devil has been? Which I remember going to one particular article, which was, I want to see the article like 8-9 years old now, but I remember going into it a few times, where it says they have spent $500 million training soldiers deep underground. What do you think they're training soldiers deep underground for? Especially investing into these bunkers and these different things. They're trying to escape the wrath of Yahweh Bashim Al Shah. And really, they know what's up. Creating these robots, super soldiers, but it's all going to fail in the eyes of the Lord. Now, as Jeremiah 16:16, as behold, I will send for many fishers, saith the Lord, and they shall fish them, and after will I send for many hunters. Now, who are those fishers? The prophets, the men of the Lord. And after will I send for many hunters, and shall hunt them from every mountain, and from every hill, and out of the holes of the rocks. So as you have that saying, how the hunter becomes the hunted. Well, right now this devil is the hunter, and soon he will be hunted, man. I mean, right now, we're on bottom. That's why you get in the scripture, thou worm Jacob. This is going to show this lowest state that we are in, but soon the Lord's going to lift that standard, which is in Isaiah 59:19. And those fishers will be turned into those hunters the Lord's will were of that hopeful elect. Are those meant to receive that spiritual power of the Lord's will, man? I mean, this devil is going to get it, bro. And you see various examples in many movies, shows, cartoons of just examples of spiritual power. And now you have, the military, going after these types of people. Which you see, and I want to say the show is called The Titans. It's similar to Teen Titans, but there was a live action show where you had this he was Superboy, which is similar to Superman, but one particular scene where he had a bunch of troops within his house, pretty much trying to get him. You see an invincible, camouflaged, troops trying to take out Omni-Man. And they also have a particular scene, within that show, where they have a direct energy weapon, and on that satellite it had 144 on it. So this devil knows what's up, man. But even in that show, that satellite didn't work on. But let's read this one more time. Behold, I sent for many fishes, said the Lord. And I was bringing up many of those examples, especially that movie Code 8, which I definitely recommend watching if you have not watched it already. Because they quite literally created robots in order to combat and go against those people that had those supernatural abilities. And remember, you had those robots, breaking down doors and trying to, get these people, man, which these devils were controlling in that movie. So they know what's up, man, and they're not creating these robots to bag your damn groceries. They're not creating these robots for the good of humanity, as people are, so hardly want to believe. Behold, I send for many fishes, saith the Lord, and shall fish them, and after will send for many hunters, and shall hunt them from every mountain, and from every hills, from every hill, and out of the holes of the rock. So there is no escape. And if you thought Superman, himself, was a problem, imagine 144,000 of them. Supermen. Whew. Hey, Lord's will over that number, man. Hey, however, it's up. But it says Jeremiah 50, or 51 and 20 to 23. Just to further add on to that point. As I got within those photos, just those 3 main points, which have 4 in it right there, just to fill in the thumbnail. But I'm going to go into 3 main points, dealing with the chariots. Excuse me. The chariots, Leviathan, as well as the elect receiving that spiritual power. Now it's verse 20. Thou art my battle axe and weapons of war. You also get Isaiah 51, or what was it? I want to say Isaiah. I want to say the 31st chapter, if I'm correct. But go into those new sharp threshing instruments having teeth. It's like I was trying to remember the exact scripture. It says, "Thou art my battle axe and weapons of war. For with thee will I break in pieces the nations, and with thee will I destroy kingdoms. And with thee will I break in pieces the house and his rider, and with thee will I break in pieces the chariot and his rider." Verse 22. With thee also will I break in pieces man and woman, and with thee will I break in pieces old and young, and with thee will I break in pieces the young man and the maid. Verse 23. I also will break in pieces with thee the shepherd, with thee the shepherd and his flock, and with thee will I break in pieces the husbandman and his yoke of oxen, and with thee will I break in pieces captains and rulers. See if I missed anything. And that's the point I was wondering right there. But it's Amos 9:2-3, further adding to the points what we just read. It says, though they dig into hell, thence shall mine hand take them, and though they climb to heaven, thence will I bring them down. And it says, though they dig into hell, speaking deep underground, what's been done with these bases, as we read in Jeremiah 16:16, how they're going to try to flee to the clefts of the rocks, these mountains, these caves, these bunkers, man. Thence will I, read one more time. Though they dig into hell, thence shall my hand take them. Though they climb up to heaven, thence will I bring them down. Because they also have these space stations and with the various things that they're going to try to flee to, man. But as we're reading, it clearly ain't going to work out. Verse 3. The Lord's going to be right there waiting. Verse 3, and though they hide themselves in top of Carmel, I will search and take him out thence. And though they be hid from my sight in the bottom of the sea, thence will I command the serpent, and he shall bite him. Who is that serpent speaking of? Leviathan, or also known as Godzilla. I see various examples within, which I'm looking for, those Godzilla movies, But I do want to get the photos again. The chariots, which, that's an example right here. We have these troops, shooting at this person that has that spiritual power. As you also have Leviathan, which is what I'm speaking on right now. And people think this is a joke. People look at us like we're crazy for saying these things. It really goes. And these are the same people that say, that they're a believer, that they believe in God, this and that. Yet they won't keep the law, statutes, commandments, best of their ability, and they especially just don't have faith in general. This is what you're getting ready to see, man. And it's going to be a sight to see. Okay, guess what? The prophets have been telling you, warning you of these things, man. You're going to see, a Godzilla-like creature. And where do you think they got the inspiration from to create the creature, the character Godzilla? You get within the scripture the depiction of Leviathan. It's a spitting image. Dealing with that atomic breath, which is what they call it in these movies, but it also mentions it within the scriptures that that fiery breath. Makes the sea to boil. And you always see within these Godzilla movies, when Godzilla is spawning, or I say spawning, but getting ready to come out that water, or make his appearance in the movie. At times you'll see that the sea to be boiling. And the main one I'm thinking of is this movie, Shin Godzilla. The particular scene where you literally have the sea begin to boil from him getting ready to come out of the water. It's just, trying to paint that image. Now it says, and those that hide themselves on top of Carmel, I will search and take them out thence, and though they be hid from my sight in the bottom of the sea, thence will I command the serpent, and he shall bite them. So clearly going to show you're not able to escape or run away. Revelation 6:13 through 17. Further going into it. And the stars of heaven fell into the earth, even as a fig tree cast their top in the figs, which is shaken of a mighty wind. Those stars of heaven speaking of these thermonuclear missiles, because once again you're going to have this, they'll try to flee and escape his judgment. That's why he's deeply investing in these bunkers, these various things they're going to try to flee and run away to. That mighty wind being from the shockwave comes with explosions. Verse 14, the heaven departed a scroll and is rolled together, and every mountain and island removed out of their places. So the heavenly part of the scroll is speaking of the mushroom cloud being formed from the explosions, and you're quite literally going to have the earth begin to shake from all these explosions that take place, man. Verse 15, further adding to the point of what we have been reading. And the kings of the earth, and the great men, and the rich men, and the chief captains, and the mighty men, and every bondman, and every freeman, hid themselves in the dens and the rocks of the mountains. We just read various examples. Once again, and though they take him to hell deep underground, verse 3, and they hide themselves top of Carmel, I'll search to take out thence. Jeremiah 16:16, behold, I have sent from a city of the Lord, and shall fish them, and after send from many hunters, and shall hunt them from every mountain, and from every hill, and of the holes of the rocks. So these scriptures should now, be starting to come together, if not already. For those that are still struggling to see this. So read out verse 15 one more time. And the kings of the earth, and the great men, and the rich men, and the chief captains, and the mighty men, and the bondmen, and the free men, hid themselves in the dens and the rocks of the mountains. Verse 16, and sit the mountains and rocks fall on us, and hide us from the face of him that sitteth on the throne, and from the wrath of the Lamb. So you're trying to hide away from the Lord. For the great day of his wrath is come, and who shall be able to stand? No one. Isaiah 14:21 through 22. And as he prepares slaughter for his children for the iniquity of their fathers. So you devils will pay for your crimes, the atrocities you have committed. You have these Edomites which are always trying to slither away from their judgment, the things that they have done. I didn't own any slaves. I didn't do any of that. And what doesn't mean you didn't do anything in your past life or your forefathers didn't. You're still needing to pay. I said, prepare slaughter for his children for the iniquity of their fathers that did not rise nor possess the land nor fill the face of the Lord with cities. Verse 22, for I'll rise up against them, saith the Lord of hosts, and cut off Babylon from Babylon the name and the remnant and son and nephew, saith the Lord. So your judgment is coming, man. Numbers 35 and 33 further answer that point. So you shall not pollute the land when ye are, for blood it defiled the land, and the land cannot be cleansed of the blood that shed therein, but by the blood of him that shed it. So his blood is required. You're not going to be able to just skedaddle off your way into the sunset, man. Especially, Jake want to believe this devil has changed his ways. There's water under the bridge. Well, to Yahweh Bashim Shai, it is not water under the bridge. Matter of fact, he's saying this devil's going to be punished. He's going to pay for his crimes, his atrocities that he has committed. What does it say he's going to escape? Matter of fact, it's going into, as we read in various scriptures, him trying to escape ain't going to work. Him trying to hide away is not going to work. So there's nowhere you can run and nowhere you can't hide. Or nowhere you can hide. Psalm 21 says, why did the heathen rage and the people imagine a vain thing? There you go. Because these devils think they're going to rule forever, being powerful, thinking they're able to escape the wrath of Yahweh Bashim Shai. You got another thing coming. It's Malachi 1:4. Get these closing scriptures. It says, whereas Edom said, we're impoverished, but he will return and build desolate places. This devil thinks he's gonna rise from the ashes as a phoenix. Nah. So we're impoverished, but we will return and build desolate places. Thus saith the Lord of hosts, they shall build, but I will throw down. And shall call them the border of wickedness, and the people against whom Yahweh Bashim Shai had the indignation forever. So you're gonna fail in literally every way. As you're seeing, your kingdom is crumbling as we speak. As you're also gonna have the Lord set up many of these nations, against you devils also. Jeremiah 50 and 9. And you'd have many nations be in array against Babylon. Psalm 49 and 11. The inward thoughts that their houses shall continue forever, and their dwelling places to all generations. They call the land after their names. So they think they want them to be able to rule forever and be in power forever, which is not going to happen. As we're also going to read it here in Isaiah 13, 19 through 22. And we'll close it out with this right here. And in Babylon, the glory kingdoms, the beauty of the Chaldees, excellency shall be as when the Most High overthrew Sodom and Gomorrah, which was via those, that fire and brimstone. But in this time, it's going to be these thermonuclear missiles. Verse 20. It shall never be inhabited, neither shall be dwelt in from generation to generation. Neither shall the Arabian pitch tent there, neither shall the shepherds make their fold there. So it's clearly stating that this place, Babylon, aka America, will never be inhabited again. As you can also, get throughout various scriptures, it goes into this destruction that's come to this place. Verse 21, but the wild beasts of the desert shall lie there, and the house shall be full of doleful creatures, and the owl shall dwell there, and satyrs shall dance there, and the wild beasts of the islands shall cry in their desolate houses, and dragons in their pleasant palaces, and her time is near to come, and her days shall not be prolonged. The scripture further get at that point, how the Lord has set bounds that he cannot pass. The joy of the hypocrite is but for a moment. So this devil said to rule for a certain period of time, and that time is ticking, it's coming to an end. And it's making that clear via these signs, these prophecies. But the point was made. Like I said, I'll make a quick lesson. I don't know if it's quick or not, but go into these 3 particular points dealing with, which actually I believe I hit all points, but I could have went more into the chariots. Maybe part 2 dealing with that. Because that'd be just also get Amos 2. It says, though they dig into hell, then shall my hand take them. And though they climb to heaven, then will I bring them down. You can also get various scriptures going to the chariots, the Revelations, 12 and 7 through 8, going to this war in heaven that's getting ready to unfold and take place, which is speaking of, the sky, space, as well as being Esau Edom's kingdom, his heaven, his rulership. That's not speaking of a war in the spiritual realm, as you see people, tend to believe. But that's what you're getting ready to, especially see unfold, further going into actually the 8th verse, and prevail not. So it goes to show the outcome of that battle that's getting ready to transpire, getting ready to take place. This devil is going to lose, and he's going to be taken out of power. 2 Ezra 13, also goes into the chariots and the destruction that they're especially going to, play a role in. Because once they're all going to play a role in salvation, which the angels within those vehicles are not green or gray aliens. They're angels within those vehicles and dark-skinned men. And they're going to play a role in the salvation, nation of Israel, but also play a role in the destruction of this place. Going back to 2 Ezra 13 once again, dealing with the, laser beams and be shot from, these chariots. And you're gonna have these nations try to, come together to go against our Lord, the angels, but it's all gonna utterly fail. So I just want to touch on those particular points right there, because I thought I had a few scriptures dealing with the chariots, but Amos 9:2 was the main one I was going into, dealing with the Lord climb up to heaven, dealing with these space stations he's also trying to flee to, and how the Lord has his own army, how he has his own air force, his ground troops, his Marine Corps, which we got a few examples I have right here, dealing with these photos. So I could make it another part 2. We'll go a little bit more into the chariots. Probably what I'm gonna do. We'll see what the Spirit allows, but those will study these points, together best my ability, and edify through this whole thing. I do close out. Give all praises, all honor, and all glory to Yahweh Ba'Shem Al Shah Ba'Shem Kadash and Shalom. See you next one, Lord's will.